Marcia woke before the sun, the quiet of the city still resting like a blanket over the streets outside her window. She moved through her apartment with calm, unhurried steps. Her suitcase stood by the door, already packed the night before. She always packed the same way. Business dresses on top, travel flats in the side pocket, a small pouch for chargers and pens. She touched the zipper and smiled. Everything was ready. This trip mattered. She had a conference to attend and a private meeting that could shape the future of her company. She liked mornings like this, clear purpose, clear plan. She brewed a small cup of coffee and stood by the window while it cooled. The horizon was a soft gray-blue line. She checked her phone. A message from her assistant. "Safe travels. Your driver will be there in 10. A reminder about the presentation slides, a final agenda update. She replied with a simple thank you, then opened the calendar and read the day one more time. She enjoyed reading it aloud in her mind. Airport, flight, review notes, rest, land, car, hotel, call with team. All neat and simple. Her dress was navy and pressed. Her blazer felt soft on her shoulders. She wore small pearl earrings and a thin, gold watch that had belonged to her mother. She liked the feeling of it tapping lightly against her wrist when she walked. It reminded her to keep her pace steady and her heart light. She slipped on her flats, picked up her passport and first class ticket, and took one last look around the apartment. Everything was in its place. The car ride to the airport was quiet. The city began to wake up as they moved through the streets. A bakery's door opened, and a warm smell of bread drifted out. A runner crossed at a light, head down, breath steady. The driver glanced at her in the rearview mirror and said, "You'll be early, that's good. Security should be calm." "I like calm," she said with a small smile. She stepped out at the terminal and felt the cool air on her face. The glass doors slid open and she entered the bright, busy hall. The airport felt like its own country. High ceilings, signs in many languages, the low rumble of rolling suitcases, flight boards clicking from letter to letter. She breathed in, put her shoulders back, and rolled her suitcase toward the first-class check-in area. Marcia traveled often, but she liked to be a regular person when she did. No announcements, no special attention. She believed in quiet actions. She believed in letting her work speak for her. That morning, she wanted nothing more than a smooth check-in, a seat by the window and time to think through her notes before the plane rose into the clouds. The first-class check-in had a short line. A soft rope formed a neat curve leading to 2 counters. The floor was bright and clean. A small sign read, "First and Business. Welcome." She stood behind a couple who were finishing up. The man laughed at something the agent said. It looked friendly. It looked normal. Marcia felt a small, warm hope that everything today would be easy. She reached into her bag, took out her leather ticket wallet, and ran a finger over the raised letters of her name on the ticket. Everything was in order. Her seat number was printed clearly. She liked aisle seats, but today she had chosen the window so she could look out over the wing. The little details mattered, even the view. When the couple walked away, the agent at the left counter waved the next person forward. Marcia stepped up to the right-hand counter where a second agent had just returned from a small break. The agent's smile was polite, a little stiff, the kind of smile that said, "I can help you," without saying much else. Marcia smiled gently back and set her passport and ticket on the counter. "Good morning," she said. "I'm on the 8:45 to Glasgow." The agent nodded, glanced at the ticket and then at Marcia, and then back to the ticket. Her eyes paused for a moment longer than necessary. She tapped the keyboard. Her fingers moved fast, then slowed, then stopped. The agent's smile thinned. "First class today?" the agent said, as if she were asking a question that surprised her. "Yes," Marcia said, still calm. "First class." The agent nodded again and tapped more keys. Another look at Marcia's face, her blazer, her suitcase. A quiet blink-and-miss-it exchange of looks passed between the agent and the colleague at the left counter. The colleague did not say anything, but their eyes met. It was a very small thing, but Marcia noticed. She had lived long enough to see small things clearly. "Could I see your ID again?" the agent asked. Marcia kept her voice soft. "Of course." She slid the passport a little closer. The agent studied the photo. The agent looked at her again, then at the screen, then back to the photo. The agent's lips pressed together, and a shadow crossed her face, the kind that appears when a person is trying to make a decision but is not sure what to do. "You booked through our site?" the agent asked. "I did," Marcia said. "Last week. I also added a special meal request." "Right," the agent said. "Let me check." She typed and typed. "I see a booking," she added, but the words were slow. Marcia felt the first small ripple in her smooth morning. It was not fear, not anger, only a change in the air, like a breeze that shifts and makes a door click against its frame. She had felt this change before in different places, in boardrooms, in hotels, in stores. It was the mix of doubt and assumption. It floated between words, not in them. Another agent walked behind the counter and handed a stack of papers to the colleague at the left. They shared a quiet laugh over something, and then the new agent glanced at Marcia's ticket and at Marcia herself. The glance was brief, but the feeling was not. Marcia kept her composure. She folded her hands on the handle of her suitcase and waited. "Everything okay?" she asked, still polite, still warm. "I'm just verifying something," the agent said. "It will take a minute." Marcia nodded. "I have time." The line had grown behind her. She could feel the quiet press of people waiting. A man checked his watch. A woman scrolled through her phone. A child in a red jacket swung his legs and hummed a little song. Marcia turned slightly and gave a small, apologetic smile to the man behind her, the way kind travelers do when a line slows down. He nodded back in a friendly way. Not everyone in the world is unkind, she thought. Many people are simply moving through their day, doing their best. The agent made a call. Her voice was low, and the words were technical. "Yes, first-class seat 2A. Booking code. Yes. I see. She listened, then said, "Thanks," and hung up. She looked back at Marcia with a practiced smile. "Can you wait just a moment? I'll bring a supervisor." "Of course," Marcia said. Her voice had not changed. It never changed early. She liked to give people time to be their best selves. She stepped a little aside so the counter could handle the next person. The agent did not invite the next person yet. She stood there, typing. Again, a crease forming between her eyebrows. The colleague at the left counter slid a piece of paper toward her and whispered something. The whisper had the soft sound of doubt. Marcia could not hear the words, but she could hear the feeling. Marcia checked her phone and opened her presentation slides. It always helped her to read through her notes when she felt uncertain. "Introduction," the first slide said. "Vision," said the next. "Steps," said the third. All neat, all clear. Her mind settled again. The work was solid. The work was why she was here. She was not here to convince anyone she belonged. She was here because she had built a life where she did belong. A minute later, a supervisor arrived. He was in a neat uniform and carried a handheld device. His smile was bigger, friendlier, the kind of smile that tries to warm a room that is cooled. "Good morning," he said. "I'm here to help." "Good morning," Marcia said. "Thank you." He looked at the ticket, then at her passport, and scanned the code with the device. He glanced at the screen, then at the agent, then back to the screen. The room felt like it was holding its breath. The supervisor cleared his throat. "We just need to confirm a small detail," he said. "It won't take long." Marcia nodded. I understand. A few people in line leaned around each other, curious. One whispered, "What's going on?" Another said, "Maybe a system thing." The man behind Marcia gave her a look that said he hoped it would be okay. She appreciated that small, silent kindness. The supervisor asked, "Did you book directly? Or through a corporate account?" "Directly," Marcia said, "but it is linked to a corporate profile." Right, he said, tapping the device again. He looked up at her. "Are you checking any bags?" "Just this one carry-on," she said. "I like to keep it simple." He smiled. "Me too." He typed some more, then nodded to himself. "I see the reservation. I see the seat. I see the meal request." He paused there, and Marcia felt that pause like a small stone dropping into a still pond. "I will print your boarding pass in a moment," he said. The agent at the right counter shifted her weight and looked at the supervisor's screen. For a brief second, something like surprise crossed her face. It was gone quickly, but not quickly enough. Marcia took a calm breath and let it out slowly. She did not want to make a scene. That was never her goal. She liked to give people room to do what was right on their own. "Thank you," she said. "I appreciate your help." "Of course," the supervisor replied. He glanced at the agent. "Please print Ms. Green's boarding pass." The agent moved to the printer, pressed a button, and watched the machine. It did not spit out paper. Right away. She pressed it again. T, then word again. The agent frowned. "It's being slow today." The announcement bell chimed softly. A calm voice floated over the gate area, welcoming passengers and listing the order of boarding. Families with young children, travelers needing extra time, then first class. Marcia stood with her carry-on at her side and her boarding pass ready. Seat 2A, gate A12. The light on the podium blinked in a gentle rhythm. She breathed in and let the air go slowly. She felt focused, not rushed. Everything she needed was in her bag and in her mind. The first call invited first-class passengers to line up. People moved forward in a smooth wave, not pushing, not crowding, just that steady airport dance. Marcia stepped forward with them. The line was short. A man ahead of her adjusted his cufflinks and smiled at the gate agent. A woman behind her zipped her cardigan and checked a message on her phone. The gate agent, a woman with a neat bun and a smart blazer, scanned the first passenger's pass. The small scanner beeped. The man walked down the jet bridge. Simple. Easy. Marcia's turn came. She held out her boarding pass with a polite smile. "Good morning," she said. The agent glanced up at her and then down at the pass. The agent's smile went a little tight, like a string pulled a notch too far. She lifted the pass from Marcia's hand and scanned it. The scanner made a different sound, not a bright beep, a low tone. The agent's eyebrows rose in a small arc. She checked the screen, then looked at Marcia again. "One moment, please." Marcia stayed calm. "Of course." The agent pressed a key. The screen refreshed. The low tone sounded once more when she tried the scanner again. The agent's colleague leaned over from the second podium and whispered, "What's wrong?" It was not a harsh question. It was curious, but there was a hint of assumption in it, as if a certain kind of problem fit a certain kind of person. Marcia noticed the hint. She did not react. "I'm seeing a mismatch," the agent said softly to her colleague. She turned back to Marcia. "Did you change your seat?" "No," Marcia said. "It's 2A. "Did you upgrade today at the counter?" the agent asked. "I booked first class last week," Marcia replied. Her voice was even. "I also confirmed a special meal." The agent nodded, but doubt still sat on her face like a cloud that did not move. "May I see your ID again?" "Certainly." Marcia handed over her passport. The agent compared the photo to Marcia's face. She compared the name to the name on the boarding pass. Nothing was out of place. Still, the agent pressed her lips together. Behind Marcia, the line slowed. A few passengers shifted their weight from one foot to the other. A couple glanced at each other, and then at Marcia. The agent at the second podium began taking other passengers, but the first-class line remained, paused. The air felt a little tighter, the way a room feels when a question hangs unanswered. The agent tapped a code into her keyboard and called someone on a small desk phone. "Hi, I have a first-class boarding pass that isn't clearing," she said. "Name? Seat 2A? Yes. No. The booking looks... Well, it looks there, but it's not clearing at the gate." She listened, nodded, then said, "Okay." She hung up and turned to Marcia again. "Please step aside for a moment while we sort this out." Marcia stepped to the side with grace, her suitcase standing straight next to her. She did not argue. She did not raise her voice. She believed that calm was power, and she used it now. The man who had been ahead of her had already disappeared down the jet bridge. A family walked past, the child pointing at the airplane tail through the window. The second agent waved more passengers forward. The flow continued, but Marcia's place in it was paused. "Is there a problem?" she asked in a soft tone. The first agent folded her arms, then unfolded them. "I'm not sure," she said. "It might be a duplicate reservation or a seat that was reassigned." Marcia knew that could happen in some cases, but she also knew she had booked early and received confirmation after confirmation. "I have the email receipts," she said. "Would that help?" The agent's face did not shift much. "Maybe," she said, but her voice made the word sound like, "Not really." She tapped again, her fingers making a brisk, impatient sound on the keys. Then, almost to herself, but loud enough to be heard, she said, "First class is very full today." Marcia kept her voice gentle. "I understand. I booked first class." A man in a vest, who seemed to be a shift lead, walked up with a small stack of papers. The first agent handed him Marcia's boarding pass. He scanned it with his own handheld device. The same low tone sounded. He gave a quick, puzzled breath and looked at Marcia with a polite smile that did not reach his eyes. "There might be a system glitch," he said. "Sometimes the boarding pass doesn't reflect a last-minute change." "I did not make a last-minute change," Marcia said. There was no edge in her words, only clarity. "I checked in early. I printed this at the counter." The shift lead glanced at the first agent, then back at the device. "Right," he said. He pressed more buttons. "Yes, well, we need to keep the line moving." He nodded toward the economy line where people were growing curious. Then he looked at Marcia. "You can board with general boarding while we figure this out." Marcia met his eyes. "I appreciate the effort," she said, "but my seat is 2A. The first agent's shoulders lifted and fell in a small, impatient breath. She took the paper boarding pass back from the shift lead. For a moment, she stared at it with a kind of personal frustration, as if the paper was the problem, not the process. Then, in a single quick motion, she tore it in two along the perforation line. The sound was small, but in the pause around the podium, it felt loud. The two pieces hung in her hand like a broken promise. A hush settled at the front of the line. Someone near the window stopped mid-step. Another passenger, a student with headphones around his neck, looked up from his phone. The woman behind Marcia let out a little gasp that was not dramatic, just surprised. The first agent's face flushed as if she had not fully planned the action, as if it had arrived before her thoughts. Marcia stood very, very still. She did not move. She did not reach for the torn paper. She did not let the moment decide her tone. She kept her back straight and her chin level. Her watch tapped, soft and steady against her wrist. Tap, tap, tap. She felt the weight of many mornings in that tap, the work, the meetings, the people she had led and served. She knew herself. She chose her words with care. "Please do not discard my boarding pass," she said. Her voice was calm enough to settle a glass of water. The agent hesitated, then tried to make the action look routine. "It wasn't valid," she said, and dropped the torn pieces toward a small trash bin beside the podium. One piece slipped over the edge and landed on the floor near Marcia's shoe. A quiet, almost a sigh, moved through the small cluster of first-class passengers. The shift lead cleared his throat. "We'll print you another one in a minute," he said. "In the meantime, please stand to the side so we can finish pre-boarding." Marcia leaned down, picked up the fallen piece, and placed it gently on the podium. She did not raise an eyebrow. She did not frown. "I will wait right here," she said, "and I would like this resolved before the door closes." The first agent looked at the shift lead, a quick flash of worry passing through her expression. She opened the desk drawer, pulled out a fresh blank, and reached for the small gate printer. The printer whirred but did not start. She pressed the button again. The machine gave a small error light. The second agent, busy with other passengers, whispered, "Use the back office printer." The first agent nodded and stepped a half pace, away to the side desk. While the agent fussed with the hardware, the atmosphere shifted in small ways. A man in a blazer moved a step closer to Marcia and said quietly, "I'm sorry this is happening. It doesn't feel right." His voice was low and respectful. "Thank you," Marcia said, and her smile was real. "I'll be fine." A young traveler in a denim jacket glanced from the torn paper to Marcia and then back at the podium. She lifted her phone, not high, not to stir anything, but just enough to start a video. People often record things now, Marcia thought. It can help people see clearly later. She did not mind. Truth has a way of shining when the light is steady. The shift lead returned with a new boarding pass half-printed from the back office. He glanced at it, frowned, and said, "Strange." He lowered his voice, but not enough. "The system shows a corporate profile attached." The first agent looked at him as if that complicated things, not clarified them. "That makes sense," Marcia said simply. "My bookings are linked to a corporate account." The first agent pursed her lips. "Sometimes corporate seats get swapped close to departure," she said, as if offering a general rule that might cover this specific case. "Sometimes," Marcia agreed, "but not today, and not this seat." The gate area speakers pinged again. "We are now boarding rows 20 and above," the overhead voice said. The flow picked up. The jet bridge seemed to pull people forward like a soft tide. Marcia stood steady, an island of quiet. She checked the time. There was still room to solve this without rush. She thought of her team and how they would handle a customer in this moment, with clear updates, with care, with respect. She held that picture in her mind. The shift lead tried the scanner with the new print. The low tone sounded once more. He exhaled and looked at the first agent. "Call the flight manager," he said at last. "We need to clear this properly." The first agent clicked her tongue quietly, lifted the phone, and made the call. "Hi, it's A12. First class seat 2A shows a..." The printer finished with a soft click, and a clean boarding pass slid out in one smooth line. The flight manager checked the details on her tablet one more time and matched them to the printed pass. She nodded, satisfied, then looked up at Marcia, with steady eyes. "Ms. Green, thank you. Here is your boarding pass for seat 2A. "Thank you," Marcia said, her voice warm and even. She accepted the pass and placed it gently into her ticket wallet. The watch on her wrist tapped against the leather as she closed it. Tap, 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 like a quiet metronome reminding her to keep her own time. A ripple in the gate area seemed to settle. The second agent kept scanning other passengers, the flow moving again. The first agent, who had torn the earlier pass, stood very still now, hands folded, looking at the carpet. The shift lead cleared his throat and straightened a stack of papers that did not need straightening. The flight manager gave a short, professional smile to the nearby travelers, then turned back to Marcia. "We'll pre-board in a moment," the manager said. "Please, stay here with me." There was care in those words. Not show. Care. Marcia appreciated that tone. It told her that someone was placing attention where it belonged. On process, on people, on respect. She stood at the edge of the carpeted lane and took one slow breath in and out. A child in a blue hoodie waved at her again. She waved back. "Pre-boarding for first class will begin now," the second agent announced, her voice steady through the small speaker. "Rows 1 and 2, you may board." The flight manager gestured toward the jet bridge. "Ms. Green, after you." She walked beside Marcia, not in front, not behind, but beside, as if they were walking across a quiet office floor. The bridge air was cooler, a little metallic, with the faint smell of fuel and morning air. The floor panels clicked lightly under their steps. Ahead, the airplane door stood open, the aisle lights glowing like a path. At the door, a lead flight attendant greeted them with a polished smile. "Welcome aboard," she said. "Good morning." "Good morning," Marcia replied. The flight manager gave the attendant a quick update in a low voice. The words were practical. "Seat 2A, confirmed. Please ensure the seat is not reassigned." The attendant nodded and checked a small screen mounted by the galley. "2A is showing held," she said. "I'll release it now." Her fingers moved quickly and the seat status shifted to green. "All set." Marcia stepped inside the cabin. The first rows felt bright and calm. The windows were large and the seats were wide with soft headrests. A fresh scent floated in the air, something like cotton and citrus. A soft song played low, one of those tracks made to sound like morning light feels. She placed her bag in the overhead compartment above her seat and slid her ticket wallet into the side pocket of her blazer. Then she sat down and rested her hand on the armrest. For a moment, she let herself enjoy the simple comfort of the seat. This was the plan. This was the day. She was back on track. But the morning had one more turn to make. A junior flight attendant entered from the galley holding a paper list. She spoke to the lead in a whisper that wasn't fully quiet. "We have a VIP note for 2A, she said. "Ground marked it as held for a late-arriving frequent flyer. The name isn't showing." The lead's eyes flicked to Marcia and then back to the list. She softened her voice. "2A belongs to Ms. Green. The seat is confirmed. We're not moving her." The junior frowned, still reading the paper. "But the note says, it's fine," the lead repeated, gentle but firm. "We're set." The junior nodded, but her face held a question she wasn't sure how to ask. She stepped toward Marcia with a practiced smile that looked a little forced. "Hello. Would you mind if we switched you to 3C for a moment while we check something?" She held up the paper like it could explain itself. Marcia kept her seat, her voice kind. "I prefer to stay in my assigned seat. Thank you." The junior's smile thinned. "It's just for a moment." The flight manager had not yet left the doorway. She turned back at the tone and stepped closer. "Is there an issue?" The junior looked from the manager to the lead, then to Marcia. "Ground had a hold on 2A, she said. "I was told to be flexible." "You can be flexible with empty seats," the lead said gently. "Not with a passenger who is seated and confirmed." A passenger across the aisle, a man with a newspaper folded neatly on his lap, raised his eyebrows and watched. Another passenger in 1D glanced up from a tablet. The cabin quiet shifted, small eyes on a small moment. Marcia waited one beat, then another. She felt the way the scene leaned, the way a small assumption can grow legs and start walking around a room. She did not want the morning to be a string of little tests. She wanted clarity. She wanted truth spoken simply, not for show, but to put weight back on the right things. She turned slightly in her seat to face the flight manager and the lead. Her voice stayed calm, like water poured into a glass. "I appreciate your help," she said. "I'd like to say something now to avoid more confusion." The flight manager met her eyes and nodded once. "Of course." Marcia placed her fingertips together on her lap, the watch still tapping faintly at her wrist. She did not clear her throat. She did not raise her voice. She spoke as if she were in a planning room with her team, where clarity was kindness. "My name is Marcia Green," she said. "I'm a regular traveler, and I'm also the chair of the board and the majority owner of this airline. I booked this seat like any other customer. I expect to be treated like any other customer, clearly and respectfully." It was not loud. It did not need to be. The words dropped into the room and settled there, simple and heavy. The junior attendant's eyes widened. The man with the newspaper blinked and lowered it. A soft, surprised breath moved through row 1. From the doorway, a passenger waiting to step into the cabin paused and leaned in a little, attention drawn by the change in air. The flight manager's face did not break from professionalism, but her posture shifted, a quiet recognition of the full picture. The lead attendant gave a small, steady nod, then looked at the junior. "Thank you," she said to her colleague. "Please help our other guests for now. I'll take care of this." The junior stepped back, cheeks warm, and murmured, "Yes, of course." She tucked the paper list under her arm and moved down the aisle, gentle now, careful now. The flight manager addressed Marcia with open respect. "Miss Green," she said, "thank you for saying that clearly. On behalf of the team at the gate and here on board, I'm sorry for the confusion and for the moments that did not feel respectful. We will address them." Marcia inclined her head. "Thank you for addressing them," she said. Her words were not sharp, they were steady. "I want this airline to be a place where every person in every seat is treated with care. That includes me when I'm traveling like anyone else." "Yes," the manager replied. "Agreed." The lead flight attendant stepped closer, her voice soft. "May I offer you some water or tea while we finish boarding?" "Water would be lovely," Marcia said. As the lead moved to the galley, the manager turned to the doorway to step off and coordinate final checks. A traveler just entering, a woman with a carry-on and kind eyes, gave Marcia a small nod and whispered, "Good for you." Marcia returned a gentle smile and a tiny nod that said, "We're all just trying to move through the day with dignity." The water arrived in a short glass on a small tray. Condensation beaded along the side. Marcia took a sip and felt the cool, calm travel with it. She placed the glass on the wide armrest and looked out the window. The tarmac crews were busy, small figures with big jobs, moving carts and signaling to each other with bright paddles. The airplane next to theirs pushed back, a slow, solid motion, and turned toward a new horizon. In the aisle, the first agent, from the gate, appeared for a moment with a clipboard, bringing a final manifest to the lead. Her eyes flicked to Marcia and then away. The lead accepted the manifest and gave the agent a quiet thank you. The agent took 2 steps back, then stopped. She seemed to make a decision, then stepped forward again. "Ms. Green," the agent said, voice small but genuine, I'm sorry about earlier." The words were careful and plain. "I shouldn't have handled your pass that way. I should have asked for help sooner." Marcia met her eyes. She did not save or shrink the moment. She simply held it steady. "Thank you for saying that," she said. "Please remember, every person at that podium deserves patience and respect, even when the system is slow." The agent nodded, throat moving with a small swallow. "Yes, I understand." She stepped back again and left the cabin, shoulders a little straighter, face thoughtful. Another stream of passengers came on board, filling the cabin with soft voices and the rustle of coats and bags. A young man in 2C sat beside Marcia and gave a polite hello. "Big morning," he said, not unkindly. "Big enough," Marcia said, with a slight smile. He opened a book and then closed it, curiosity tugging at him. "Do you really—" "I really work for the airline," she said, giving him just enough. "And like everyone else, I appreciate a smooth check-in." He chuckled, a friendly sound. "Fair enough. I hope the rest of your day is smooth." "So do I." The flight manager returned once more before door close. She leaned in to speak at a calm volume. "We've made a note for the captain that boarding is complete up front. Please let me know if you need anything before we depart." "I'm all set," Marcia said. She meant it. She had the seat she booked, the glass of water, her notes in her bag, and her center in place. The plane leveled above the soft blanket of clouds, and a quiet calm settled in the cabin. Seatbelt lights dimmed. A gentle chime sounded. Marcia set her notebook on the wide armrest and looked out at the bright open sky. The hardest part of the morning felt behind her. The watch on her wrist tapped a steady beat that matched the smooth hum of the engines. Tap, tap, tap. She breathed in and let her shoulders relax. The lead flight attendant stopped by with a warm smile. "How are you doing now?" "I'm all right," Marcia said. "Thank you for checking." "We're grateful for your patience," the lead replied. "If there's anything at all that would help, please tell me." "Water and clarity," Marcia said with a small smile. "I have the water. I'm helping with the clarity." The lead smiled back. "We'll do our part." She moved down the aisle to help another passenger with a bag, and her calm tone helped the whole row feel steady again. A few minutes later, the captain stepped out of the cockpit to use the front galley. He paused near 2A and spoke in a low, respectful voice. "Ms. Green, welcome aboard. I heard about the gate. I'm sorry for the stress at the start. We'll make sure your flight is comfortable." "Thank you, Captain," Marcia said. "Please, also make sure your team knows I appreciate good work when I see it." The way the flight manager handled the moment was professional and kind. "She's one of our best," he said. He nodded once, a quiet promise, then returned to his duties. Internet flicked on. A few phone screens lit up across the cabin. Little notifications rolled in like tiny waves. A teenager in row 3 whispered to his mother, "This video's getting views." The mother gave him a look that said, "We're flying. Use your inside voice." But her eyes were kind. Someone 2 rows up scrolled through comments, their mouth forming a small O. The hum of the cabin stayed polite and calm, yet Marcia could feel the currents of attention moving. Light, curious, alert. Her own phone buzzed. Messages from her assistant. A note from the head of communications. A short, direct text from the COO. Saw a clip. "You okay?" She typed back, "I'm fine. Let's focus on what we can fix today." Then she opened a fresh note and wrote 3 lines, each on its own. "See the person. Slow the system. Share the load." She stared at the simple words for a moment. They felt right. They felt like a door anyone could open. The lead attendant came by with a small menu card. "We have 2 breakfast options today," she said. "We also have your special meal ready, as requested." "Thank you," Marcia said. "Special meal is perfect." As the lead moved on, the junior attendant approached Marcia carefully, with a new softness in her eyes. "Ms. Green," she said, "may I say something?" "Of course. I'm still learning," the junior said, keeping her voice gentle. "I thought that note about a held seat meant I needed to move fast. I see now that I should have asked more questions and given more respect to the person in the seat." She took a breath. "I want to do better." Marcia nodded. "Thank you for telling me. It takes courage to say that." She kept her words simple and kind. "Here's a small tool that might help you. Before acting, ask yourself 3 quick questions. What am I seeing? What might I be missing? Who can help me check? If you can do that in 10 quiet seconds, you'll serve people and protect yourself. The junior smiled with relief. I can do that. I know you can, Marcia said. And when the system feels urgent, slow the system, not your care. The junior repeated the phrase softly, like she wanted to remember it later. Slow the system, not your care. She thanked Marcia and moved to the galley, shoulders looser, steps more grounded. The meal service began. Trays slid onto tables, with soft clinks. The cabin filled with the warm, friendly scents of breakfast. Marcia's tray arrived. A thoughtful plate, fresh fruit, tea, a small bread roll warm to the touch. She took a bite, then sipped her tea and felt grateful for simple, steady care. Her phone buzzed again, this time with the head of communications on a secure chat. We're drafting a short statement about dignity and service. Want to review? The message included a plain, respectful paragraph. Marcia read it twice. It was good. It was honest. She suggested one edit. Make it less about our values and more about what every traveler should feel in our spaces. Then she added a new line to the end. Respect is something we do, not just something we say. The comms lead replied, Perfect. We'll hold till you land for your final okay. A new email arrived from the operations team with the subject, Gate A12, immediate review. The shift lead had written a note addressed to her. It was short and direct. I'm sorry, I should have called the flight manager sooner. I let the line pressure me into a quick decision. The first agent's note followed. I'm sorry I tore the pass. I let my frustration with the machine lead the moment. I should have been better in front of everyone. Both messages were careful and sincere. Marcia looked at the screen for a long minute. She knew that consequences mattered. She also believed that growth matters more when it is visible and real. She typed a reply to the COO and head of people operations. Please conduct a fair review. Make sure coaching is the first step. If there are patterns, we act stronger. Today, let's choose learning with accountability. Also, build a 15-minute refresher for gate teams, the golden path. Steps 1 to 5. Make it simple. Then she opened a new draft titled, The Golden Path Gate. She wrote 5 lines. Greet. See the person first. Verify. Check the facts twice. Ask. If unclear, ask for help early. Explain. Tell the traveler what you're doing and why. Resolve. Choose the most respectful next step. She read them aloud in her mind. They felt like rails that could guide. A busy morning. She attached the draft to the email thread with the COO and added, Let training turn this into practice. Role play real moments. The plane met a patch of light chop. The seatbelt sign chimed on again. Cups clicked. A baby, in row 4, gave a small squeak, then settled when a parent hummed a tiny tune. The bumps passed quickly. Marcia placed a flat palm on the armrest and breathed. Up here, she thought. Even the air has a rhythm. You ride it, you don't fight it. When the belt sign turned off, the flight manager came by quietly. If it's all right, could we gather the front cabin crew for a 3-minute huddle right here? Only if you feel up to it. I think a short message from you would really help. Marcia looked around. The aisle was open. Service was between courses. Yes, she said simply. Let's do it. The lead, the junior, and a galley attendant stepped close in a small semicircle, careful not to block seats. They stood with attentive eyes. Marcia spoke in a voice that belonged in a team room, not a stage. Thank you for your service today, she said. Here's what I want you to remember for every person who walks on your plane or to your podium. See the person. Slow the system. Share the load. If a scanner beeps wrong, slow down. If a note is unclear, share the load. Ask the manager, call a check, and always, always, look at the human being in front of you and let that guide your tone. You can't fix every delay. You can choose dignity every time. The junior nodded, eyes bright. The lead's shoulders eased. The galley attendant said quietly, "That helps. Thank you." "Thank you," Marcia replied. "You help carry our name through the world. When you lift people, you lift us." They returned to their stations with a new kind of calm, the kind that spreads like warm light through a room. The man in 2C, who had politely pretended not to listen, gave a little smile. "That was a good huddle," he said. "Short is kind," Marcia replied. He chuckled. True. A little later, the junior returned with a small card. "This is from me," she said, blushing slightly. On the card, she had written 3 lines in neat letters. "See the person, slow the system, share the load." She added a tiny star next to each. "I'm putting this in my pocket." Marcia placed a hand on her heart. "That means a lot." Across the aisle, the man with the newspaper leaned over. "I travel a lot," he said in a low voice. "That was one of the clearest things I've heard on a plane. Thank you for saying it." "Thank you for hearing it," Marcia said. Her phone buzzed once more. A regional manager had forwarded a message from the gate team. "We'd like to join the refresher session today by video when you land." Another read. "We're drafting a reminder. Don't decide alone if you can decide together." Marcia smiled. That line had the right feel. She replied with a thumbs up and a line. Make it easy to do the right thing. She finished her tea, then wrote a short note for a company-wide message to send after landing. "Friends, today I saw something small become big in front of travelers. We will fix this the way we build everything, together, through clear steps and kind habits. Respect is a system we build, action by action. When the system is stressed, slow it. When the facts are unclear, share the load. And always, see the person." She saved the draft and closed her eyes for a short rest. In the soft drift of half-sleep, she saw the torn paper of the boarding pass become a ribbon tied around a box. Something broken turned into a gift. She woke with the quiet joy of that thought still with her. The lead attendant appeared with coffee. "Landing in an hour and 15, she said. "Would you like anything else?" "Just a little milk for the coffee," Marcia said. "And if you have a spare copy of your service checklist, I'd like to see how you frame your steps." The lead returned with a small laminated card. "This is ours," she said. "We call it the flow card." Marcia read it with interest. "This is good," she said. "Clear and—" The door opened to the jet bridge, and a soft breath of cool air met her face. Marcia stepped out with her carry-on and moved with the easy flow of the line. The airport lights felt brighter after the calm of the cabin. Signs pointed the way. Arrivals. Baggage, exit. Each arrow a small promise that the next step was clear. Her watch tapped on her wrist. Tap, tap, tap. Steady. Just past the door, the flight manager waited. "Ms. Green," she said in a warm, professional tone. "The airport manager is here to greet you. We've set up a quiet spot near the lounge for a brief huddle if you're willing." "I am," Marcia said. "Thank you." They walked side by side through the short corridor that connected the gate to a calm area with wide windows. A cart of fresh coffee sat nearby. The airport manager, a thoughtful person with kind eyes, stepped forward with a respectful nod. "Welcome," they said. "I'm sorry for the difficult moments earlier. We want to learn from them." "That is why I'm here," Marcia replied. "Thank you for meeting me quickly." They sat at a small round table. The flight manager stood nearby with her tablet. 2 gate supervisors joined, faces attentive. Not defensive, Marcia kept her voice steady and simple. "I want to start with something good," she said. "I saw teamwork on the plane. I saw care. Thank you for that. Now let's talk about the gate." The scanner tone became the center of the story. When the machine was unsure, the humans got unsure. That is a system problem, not only a person. Problem. The airport manager nodded. Agreed. We will fix this in steps, Marcia said. First, coaching and reflection for the team members involved. Second, a short training today across this station. 5 steps we can follow every time. Third, a tool change. Make it easier to escalate early without shame or delay. Fourth, clear language for passengers while we verify, so they feel seen, not set aside. The flight manager tapped notes as she spoke. We can do a 2 p.m. huddle with all gate teams, she said. 10 minutes. Also, we can add a quick button on the gate screen that calls a supervisor with 1 tap. The airport manager leaned forward. We'll make the room and the time, they said. Today. A quiet phone buzzed on the table. The COO had sent a schedule. Marcia skimmed it and then looked up. Let's keep this short. I also have to reach a conference, but I want to leave you with the language we used in the air. See the person. Slow the system. Share the load. The first of the 2 gate supervisors lifted a hand slightly. May I ask a question? He said. When the line is long and the clock is fast, how do we slow the system? Use the pause that protects, Marcia said. It is only 10 seconds, but it changes the moment. In that pause, you say to the traveler, I'm seeing a system error. I'm asking for help now. Thank you for your patience. I will keep you updated every minute. Then you press the 1-tap call. You have slowed the system without slowing your care. The second supervisor wrote it down word for word. I can train to that, she said. It's simple. Simple is strong, Marcia said. She stood. Thank you. I will check back after the huddle. They walked toward the exit together. Near the escalator, a woman from the flight approached, holding a small suitcase and a hopeful smile. Excuse me, she said softly. I was in row 3. Thank you for how you spoke to the team. It helped me, too. Thank you for saying that, Marcia replied. Safe travels. Outside security, the airport's cool morning air held a faint scent of rain. The driver was waiting with a small sign. Hotel and conference? He asked. Yes, Marcia said. On time, but not rushed. They drove through a city that felt both new and familiar. Stone bridges, gentle hills, people with warm coats moving in a slow, purposeful way. Marcia watched the streets pass like pages. She opened her phone and approved the public statement the communications team had polished. It was short and clear. Every traveler deserves clarity and care. When our systems are slow, our people will slow the moment with respect. When facts are unclear, we will share the load and ask for help early. Respect is something we do. Action by action. She pressed send. At the hotel, the conference staff welcomed her with calm smiles. A coordinator offered a quiet room, tea, and a copy of the schedule. Your keynote is in 1 hour, she said. Do you need anything else? Uh-oh. Few minutes to think, Marcia said, and a pen. The room they gave her had a window that looked over the river. The water moved with a steady patience she admired. She laid her notebook on the table and wrote the outline of her talk. She did not plan to tell the whole story of the morning. She planned to tell a clear truth that would help the people in that room make better choices when the world pressed on them. When it was time, she stepped onto the stage with the same calm she carried at the gate. The room was full, but quiet, the way a space gets quiet when people are ready to hear. She spoke in simple language, the kind that rides straight to the heart. Good afternoon, she began. Today I want to talk about habits that keep dignity alive in busy places. She shared the 3 lines. See the person, slow the system, share the load. She gave everyday examples, at check-in desks, in call centers, on delivery routes, in hospital corridors. She showed how a 10-second pause can change a day. She showed how a 1-tap help button can change a team. She showed how clear words can keep a customer calm. I'm with you. I'm checking. Here is what I'm doing next. The room leaned in. Heads nodded. People wrote notes. Some eyes shone, not with tears, but with the bright look of recognition. She ended with one line she had written in the sky. "Respect is a system we build, action by action." The applause rose and then settled. During questions, a manager asked, "What about consequences when someone makes a mistake in public? How do we balance grace and standards?" "We choose learning first and clearly," Marcia said. "We coach, we check for patterns, we support. Good habits. And we keep a clear line. Repeated harm gets stronger action. But remember, most errors are signals from the system. Fix the system, and you free the person to do better." After the talk, people formed a small line to thank her. A young team lead said, "I'm going to print those 3 lines and put them by our phones." A senior director said, "We can build the one-tap help button this quarter." A nurse from a small clinic said, "I can use this language tonight." In the hallway, her assistant joined her with a light step. "The gate huddle is ready," he said, showing her a tablet. "They're gathered at 3 stations. We can join by video." They found a quiet corner and tapped into the call. On a screen, she saw faces she knew and faces she did not, agents, supervisors, and a few station leaders. She smiled and waved. "Hello, team," she said. "Thank you for making time. I want to say 3 things. First, I'm proud of the way you serve people every day. Second, we can make our service even better with simple steps. Third, we'll practice these steps now." She shared the 5 points of the golden path for Gates: greet, verify, ask, explain, resolve. The group repeated them together once, not like a chant, but like a promise. One supervisor added, "We'll role play after this call." Another said, "We're giving each gate a pocket card to carry." Before she signed off, she saw the first agent from the morning near the back of one group. The woman lifted a hand in a small wave. Marcia nodded back, eyes kind. Growth was already moving through the room like warm light. The rest of the day kept its steady rhythm. Meetings. A quick interview with a local business paper where she spoke about service. Design and human care. A call with the tech team to start the one-tap help button. A review of the pocket card design. Simple font, clear lines, those 3 core phrases fixed at the top like a compass. Evening brought a soft rain. She ate a simple dinner, soup and bread, then walked for a few minutes under her umbrella, enjoying the way city lights reflect in puddles like tiny suns. Back in her room, she wrote a few personal notes. To the flight manager, "Thank you for your clarity and calm. You model the tone we want everywhere." To the junior attendant, "I saw your courage and your care. Keep asking good questions." To the first agent, "Thank you for your apology. I accept it. Please let this moment turn into strength for you and for those you teach." She sealed each note and set them with her bag so she would not forget to send them in the morning. Her phone lit with one more message, this time from her mother's old friend, the birthday reminder she had written earlier. Marcia smiled and ordered flowers with a simple card. "Thinking of you. Wishing you joy. Marcia." It felt right to close the day with a small kindness that had nothing to do with business, everything to do with being human. Before bed, she checked in with the COO. "How did the station huddles go?" she asked. "Better than expected," he wrote back. One agent said, "I feel safer now that I know the steps. Also, the help button prototype is working in our test app." "Good," she replied. "Make it part of the morning checklist. And add this question to every daily stand-up. Where did we slow the system and share the load today?" Let them celebrate it. She set the phone on the nightstand and turned off the lamp. The room fell quiet except for the soft whisper of rain at the window. She lay on her back, hand on her watch. Tap, tap, tap. She thought about the gate, the plane, the huddle, the conference. She did not replay the torn paper anymore. She remembered. The repaired paths, the printed pass, the steady voices, the pocket cards, the one-tap button, the way people chose better habits when someone gave them clear rails to run on. Morning came with a pale bee,